No, we're live now. Right. Welcome to ComeonyespursTV. Where we talk about everything Tottenham. Today, it's a totally different format, but we're just going live and just keeping you totally unscripted. Chuma and I are just going to get at it. You guys, like, subscribe, share and comment, and let's know what it's all about. We're talking today about Tottenham. I mean, there's a big roundup of things going on. We're going to report a little bit on what happened during the week. I mean, amazing match against us, but I mean, because we haven't had so much to cheer about lately. And come on, I mean, those young boys did us proud. And before we go into all that, let's just have a quick chat. Chuma, welcome. How are you?
Oh, I'm super good. I even want to give a huge shout out to the Elfsborg fans because it was very difficult for me to get back home on Thursday because of those guys. As I was leaving, I was in Central trying to get back to where I live. The entire Victoria line was full of their fans trying to either get to Seven Sisters and stuff, and Liverpool Street to get the overground to White Hart Lane, and it was full of, and those guys were happy. Like they're the happiest bunch of fans I've seen. They didn't winning, losing, drawing. They just wanted to enjoy so they clogged up the underground. But it was good seeing them going. They had a great time apparently as well. People that went told me that they were just singing from beginning to end. So, but it was a redemptive game. I think. I looked at Ange and I enjoyed the fact he enjoyed the win and the goals. And then for the goals to be something so special, as we had Glenn Hoddle commentating on TV, and for him that would have played a special part in his heart because he scored on his debut for Spurs as far back as 1974, something like that, 75 season. He scored on his debut. So, and he was homegrown. So those kind of things are special to teams where you have someone that you brought in through your academy, through everything else, and then to have three scoring their very first goals on the same night, and probably the third goal scored by the most expected of the three to become a great player. And that's in Mr. Mikey Moore. To have him round it up, I think that was just the cherry on top of the icing on top of a beautiful cake.
Right?
Dane Scarlett, we've been waiting for him for a while. I'm very happy that he came back. And him playing this game means that he can't go on loan again. And we've seen it now. Will Lancashire in the last 24 hours has gone to West Bromwich Albion on loan. So that means Dane is now taking his spot on the squad. And so good luck to Will Lancashire. The manager of West Bromwich Albion is Tony Mowbray, a very good coach at bringing the best out of young people. Plays front foot football, wonderful man manager. Will Lancashire, this is what, February? First day in February, I'm willing to put my money down that he'll score more than 5 or 6 or 7 league goals. No, in fact, 7 league goals before the end of the season for West Bromwich Albion. If he can get to 10, I'll be very impressed with this short space of time. But those boys, and then Demola Ajayi scoring, what I thought, what I'll say is the winner, because that relieved the pressure. Because the first goal by Dane Scarlett was still 1-0. But Demola Ajayi coming off the bench, replacing someone as prestigious as Richie, and doing as you said earlier on, he did a Kulu, cutting from the left, nice 1-2, left foot smash, and history.
I love that match. I mean, I know the boys, young guards, more Lancashire, more Scarlett and Ajayi. Obviously, beautiful goals. I can't even, you can't even put it in the script. But the first half for me was actually even a bit of a revelation. He had almost like a revitalized Son, right? Now, so some people will say to you, Son, we're playing against a rubbish team, in quote, they haven't played and all that stuff. But look, you only play what's in front of you. And Son was just absolutely on his game. I mean, it was like a new signing,
It was like he'd heard the rumors that Spurs were looking for a left sided. At that point, I think that was the height of us being linked to Matisse Tell. We'll talk about that later. That fell through. But it was Son had his fullback on toast. There was one move where Son dropped his shoulder on him, and the guy tried to tackle him. He swerved the tackle, and the guy tackled his own player. And Son just continued. And I was like, that was vintage Son on the wing. It reminded me of the game against Newcastle where he just destroyed Kieran Trippier. where he was just killing Trippier. It was literally the same moves every single time, and it was just unfortunate. Spurs could have been 2-3 up in that first half.
Yeah.
Second half as well, Lucas Bergwall had a headed opportunity that he just, if he had headed that on the ground and the ball had gotten momentum, I feel he would have scored there. And you could see it was coming.
It was definitely was coming.
Contrary to the doom and gloom people who, if you were following the game online, it was like Tottenham were playing absolute garbage.
Can you imagine that?
Good. Brandon Olsen, very good with his feet as goalkeeper. The return of Mickey van der Ven. Hey Mickey. It was, you could see one proper central defender back, one proper guy, you could see the difference. Now imagine two coming back. Imagine Vic coming back. Imagine Destiny coming back. These are the things that, these are the little intangibles that we don't really look at that make everything, the foundation, so strong.
Yeah, I mean, you've had, talking about coming back from injuries, we've had there's so much to talk about on this program. We're going to talk about, transfer news and obviously injuries existing in the squad and what the transfer activity is looking like in terms of saying, you get strengthening onto the existing team, or any of those those guys who are injured, coming back. The only ones, I think 2 this week are coming back according to Ange. We're having most likely Jet Spence coming back and regular. You wouldn't call either of them what you might call first choice in our what you might call regular lineup. However, but it's always also good to have those. What's the word? Bits of good news. Dragusin went off injured, and it's looking like he'll be out to the end of the season. It's like as Ange quipped. He was having a laugh on the touchline and feigning a hamstring injury. It was.
I thought you were referring to.
Yeah, I was going to come to that. When you light at the end of the tunnel, you think it's actually approaching you. It's just unfortunate. And it's just. You and I were talking offline about Nedum Onuha's article on BBC Sports, right, where he was kind of analysing the injuries and the kind of things that Tottenham were facing. And I think he made some very good points. I love Nedum. He's a really, really good pundit, but I don't always agree with his point of view. But on this occasion, it's very difficult to fault his arguments or his comments or points of view. What he was saying essentially is that, look, injuries are so unpredictable, right? One, and the nature of Spurs injuries don't actually match up to the narrative that you get in the press. And the narrative in the press is that Ange's methods, either in training or in actual matches, actually are those things that cause the injury. Because when you analyze all the injuries that you had so far, they just don't fit that narrative. That's the first point. The second point is that people get injured for a variety of reasons, and it's highlighted what those reasons look like. And if you read the article, perfectly understand that from somebody who's played the game at a very high level before, right, and someone who's also trained under some very, very good coaches, he understands that the way these things work, it's just almost like a series of unfortunate events from Tottenham perspective, and you really can't put it down to training or fitness or methods adopted or the system adopted by the coach, because it just doesn't work like that, So and what do? Do you buy players to face all those injured players from a business management perspective, right? I know people will say, "We're a football club, we're not a business." Excuse me. You've got to pay those players, haven't you? You've got to pay a transfer fee. You've got to operate between the FP, financial fair play rules, and you also have to ensure that they're fitting within your system. Now, when those injured players come back, what happens to the ones you just bought? You'll have a limited number of squad players that you can have anyway. So they can either go out on loan, which you're not going to be able to do with what you have just now. So you have a bloated squad that is doing absolutely nothing. So it's very difficult. At however you want to look at it. I'm not well, some people call me an acolyte. and like you said, you think, honestly, I actually feel sorry for Daniel Levy, and I know I'll be in the minority here, when I say that, because people are going to say that, yeah, he's ruined the club, he's put on this position. No, absolutely no, no, no. People say that, oh, we have the lowest loan to wage, what's the word, profile in the league.
No, wage to revenue.
Wage revenue, profile in the league. Yes, and rightly so, because we have probably the biggest debt portfolio in the league. We don't have a sugar daddy. We don't have who's going to prepare to put their money in and bail us out like the cities and the what's the word, the Chelseas of this world. No, we don't. So we have to work within what we have. Besides, we don't even have the profile of those clubs because they've won so much in the past, and the reason they won those for so much in the past was because of the money that they had available to them. Now, FFP are going after City. People will say that, yes, they won, but hey, do we want that same thing for our club? Probably not, but hey, it's like, the truth of the matter is that it's almost like you can't turn anyway from Levy's perspective. He spent probably the highest spender in the league in the last transfer window, right? He did all the business we had to do very early because things are getting better. We're putting ourselves in a better position, but we just don't have to go gung-ho. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have gotten players in this transfer window, and I can bet you bottom dollar there's a lot of work going on in the background with a view to getting something, but just haven't found the right players who either fit the profile or who are prepared to come. And people are saying that people are not prepared to come because of Tottenham's position, which you do about that, and said Liverpool put us in that position. So because of that, it's like when people say that, we're having difficulty finding players, those are sort of difficulties we're facing, and you're saying, who put us in that position? Oh, that's not true. It's like the injuries that put us in that position. It's like a circular argument, and I do really genuinely feel sorry for Levi because I think he's done an absolutely fantastic job for Tottenham, and people are going to say all sorts of stuff. Listen, I would love to hear from you. Honestly, your perspective. If you're here for the first time, of course, like we said, you should subscribe. Comment and all of that sort of thing. I would love to hear from you and see, your counter opinions, which I'm sure there'll be many. But that's the beauty of debates. You have people who would not necessarily agree with you, and we can all have a nice debate about the situation. Right, Chuma, you're going to say something. I know you're clock watching.
I'll clock watching, but at the same time, while I understand your sense, like we spoke of, you're a business owner, so you're someone who you're comfortable with profit and loss sheets. You understand all these accounting terms and all that, and that's fair. But that's you running your business. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club is not necessarily viewed by fans as a business. It's viewed as Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Now, Daniel Levy is a businessman. He's not a sugar daddy businessman. He's a businessman, and the end goal of every business is to make a profit or to grow your business, to sell your business for a profit, for more than you purchase the business or set up the business for.
But also to run a business sustainably in a way that's going to be there for
exactly. But I think the end goal is to sell the business or to create something that continues churning out profit value. In that sense, Daniel Levy has done very well, indeed. He's changed the club's business brand to one that is really highly recognized, multifunctional event spaces, event organization. We're doing concerts, we're doing NFL games. He's maximized, he's really diversified the portfolio of what Tottenham's ground and Tottenham's business is, which is brilliant. However, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say there's a certain way football business is done. You get the best players that your coach wants, not the best players available. So I'm tapping again. The best players that your coach wants. And in my opinion, at the end of the summer transfer window, like you said, we did good business. We got good players. Archie Gray alone, to me, is just a huge jackpot card on the table. However, you had deficiencies in certain positions. We knew that Big Dom could be backed by Richarlison, but hey, David, how you doing? Happy New Year, David. And we knew that Big Dom and Richarlison would be his backup. But Richarlison was also looking suspect as wanting to leave and injury prone as well. So you knew that. And oh man, David, David, I'm where you are as well in terms of I know Leicester people that have ripped me, Dr. Spurs. They destroyed us all. But we worked out we needed a left centre back, not Davies. We already knew we had Ben Davies. Ben Davies is one of those guys. He's a stalwart. He's one of those guys. He's Gary Neville. He stays in your club forever and he just does his job. But we needed somebody else to push Mickey or to deputize for Mickey. We probably needed the same for Romero, but we already had Dragusin, and let's see how Dragusin works. Dragusin, I think, plays well if he's playing next to a more mature professional player who has technical talent. But he doesn't play well with the kids. That's my opinion. But we knew these things. So these are the things that we left the summer with, knowing that we needed these things in the summer. So your thinking now as a business owner, Soji, is look. 3 positions at least we needed to fill. From the summer till December, your job of your sporting department, your scouting department, is to look for 3 players to fit this position. They don't have to be the 3 greatest players in the world. They just have to be 3 very good players. And in my opinion, looking at what's happening now, they failed in their task because we can't be scrambling. I've been on Spurs podcast this week. This is Dave Clark. And Spurs fans have said that the club is a circus. I disagree because the circus is at least enjoyable and value for money. Whereas Spurs is tragic. And yes, David, I applaud that. Because, so this whole financial thing, like, I get the financial thing, but I think in terms of the club, in terms of the player profile, and you want certain players, if you can't get those players, they're not even high-name players. They're not high-value players. I can't remember the Japanese players. Borussia, I think he's in Borussia Mönchengladbach or Wolfsburg or one of those teams. He's a Japanese central defender. And just wanted that guy since Celtic. He's not going to cost you $1 million, and he's someone who can go back into rotation if you want. Get him. Yeah, certain players, that Ange wants a bit more experience in his side. And he's got all these kids, and the kids are wonderful. But I'm sorry. I can't accept the excuses for Daniel Levy this January. I can't. I respect Daniel Levy as a businessman, as an accountant, and all that stuff he does. But in terms of football, I think Spurs is not even rocket science. So it's not rocket science in terms of knowing what we need. Any one of us could go there and we would know. Even with the debt profile and all the stuff we owe, there's no way you can tell me you couldn't have worked out a loan deal from September until January for someone. No one. Nah. And it came down to we all said it when we didn't see anything after Kinski. We said, wait till the last 2 days. Wait till the last. And look at exactly where we are now. Last 2 days, we're scrambling. We're getting linked to Alex Desassi. Yes, those links may not be true, but my God. Nah. Anyway, I yield the floor.
Yeah, I mean, Dave says you feel very sorry for Daniel Levy. Please don't go there. This is the man who pays himself £6.5 million a year. Reduced the wage bill by 45 million and ended OAP concessions on ticket prices. This man is evil. Now,
straight up.
Okay, so I think to myself, okay, fine. I hear you, and which is understandable. But let's bring it down to bare basics, right? And let's even look at it. Are you saying to me that he doesn't deserve to get paid 6.5 million a year? The highest paid person in Tottenham, one of the young boy, gets paid 10 million. Those boys, right? And he's presiding over the club. And you say he doesn't deserve to get 6.5 million. Come on, come on. This is a club turning over nearly £1 billion a year, and he has a squad that size, and he's built us so much value, taking us from having been, I mean, what 20 million pounds to almost 3 billion pounds.
Okay. So let's flip that. Chelsea have players who earn more than their CEO. Is that a problem?
Right, but how much does the CEO earn?
Man City have players that earn more than their two CEOs, Soriano and the other.
Yeah, but how much did the CEOs? I mean, even Spurs has players that earn more than the CEO.
He's the highest. Daniel Levy is the highest paid CEO in the Premier League. He's the highest paid CEO in the Premier League. He has been for the last 5, 6, 7 years. Altogether, he's been paid about £60 million in salaries, not dividends, not any of his share options, just his salaries. 60 million quid. He's the highest paid guy. That's why they make fun of him. He's the highest paid. All the other guys don't get paid. Yes, you could say they have money bags behind them, but they are CEOs that they placed in charge. None of them earn as much as Daniel Levy.
But are they also owners as well?
Well, is Daniel Levy an owner, or is he a chief executive owner? He isn't. He's a chief executive.
He also has shares in the business.
Yeah, he has shares, but he's not the owner. He's not the owner of Spurs. He's the CEO of ENIC, and ENIC owns Spurs. And then he now is the chief executive of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and he's the highest paid CEO in the league. That's why people say what they're saying about him. He's the highest paid. He doesn't bulk at collecting that money, but he bulks at playing. He bulks at paying over 200 grand a week for a very good player who could actually make a difference. That's where the anger is. He has a salary cap for players, and we said it in the last episode. I said it. If the player does not cost 50 grand a week or less, I doubt he'll move for them. If they're on 70, 80 grand, he will manage to move for them. But if it's anything over 100, he's going to bulk. And those are the players that make the difference. Look around the league. Look at the players making the differences in their clubs. These guys are on 100, 150, 200,000 pounds a week. We're not saying buy all your players that way. Buy one or two that do that can make that difference. And he doesn't. So
I hear you. So Dave says Levy has done a great job for Joe Louis and Don Levy. The stadium was not built with his money; it was built with club debt. As a property developer, 100%. Whose only concern is how much money he makes. Fair enough, but obviously debt is what translates to value down the line. Because who builds stadiums, I mean, with cash, nobody ever builds stadium with cash. We had a cash pile available. So the only reason we've had to invest in a stadium or take on that debt is with a view to building us a sustainable base to go forward, to be able to give us match day revenue that's able to sort of obviously service.
No, but you just said something interesting. You said who uses their money to build this stadium? We didn't ask for a stadium. He could have extended White Hart Lane.
That's a very, very good point. Now, up to what? How much capacity would that have entailed? But remember that when the stadium was being built, right, there were a number of options available at the time, right? Without going too much into history of all of that, right? But we have the option of where West Ham are now, right? They're moving up there, redeveloping the current, the old White Hart Lane, or building a new stadium, and all the studies they did at that time, and all the modeling that they did, financial modeling that came to that point, was that the stadium was the best option for us to go. Of course, we had spiraling costs and all those sort of things. Costs from, I don't know, originally it was meant to be about 400 million. Build cost up went to about almost 1 billion, I think about 900 in the end, it cost to build the stadium. But what I'm saying is that, look, ultimately, it's giving us the financial base, to have match revenue, the commercial revenue that ensures that at least we are competitive from a financial point of view, and hopefully down the line, that will translate into success. I mean, it's when you're building the foundation, you're going to get all sorts of, perspectives and opinions, especially from fans. Fans want immediate, what you might call.
No. Yeah, but he's been here 24 years. So this is why 25 this year. Yeah. The issue isn't a case of down the line. The problem is, dude, you've been here 25 years. In 25 years, your business venture has only won one trophy. Now, I'm not a trophy guy. I don't really care about the trophy thing. I wanted us to be competitive because I believe by being competitive, then the trophies will come. Not trying to just get trophies for trophy's sake, but being competitive enough to sustain how Ange talks. I believe in that myself. But I believe that comes from true investment. It's not in trying to be, for want of a word, rivalry envy. I believe that we took. Sorry, I'm tapping again. I believe that we looked at. Also, you said the best option was building. The best option was buying that stadium or getting that Stratford Stadium. That would have been financially better for Spurs, because
that wasn't available for us at the time. I mean,
no, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't available, but in terms of the three things, that would have been a better option, because it would have put us on a similar thing to what Man City had, where Man City took over the Commonwealth Stadium in Manchester, which is where the Etihad is now. That's what the Etihad is now. That with all their money, they still got a free-ass stadium that's massive. We would have done the same. We would have gotten that London Stadium for whatever, and it would have helped them if he wanted to continue doing what he was doing. But by looking at that stadium, I know for a fact that this guy looked at that stadium when they were building and said, "How big is Arsenal Stadium?" And I want mine to be bigger than Arsenal Stadium. I know that. I know that. That's the kind of thing. Yeah, that's the kind of thing he would do to try and make it out like I love Spurs and all that. But no. He wanted it to be bigger. He wanted to make more commercial revenue, which they do now, than Arsenal do from the stadium. We make more money per game than Arsenal do from their stadium, and fair dues to that. But the problem is, we're looking at the football side, and they are. My God, so we've been here several times. There are several players. They're not even big name players we talk about. Why are Spurs looking at these guys? Okay, now he says he wants to embrace Brighton and Brentford, their model of finding players before. But you've been doing that before. That's how you got Dele Alli. That's how you got all these kids. You've already been doing the kid thing. I just want 2-3 players with experience, not 10, not 8. With experience are good. Now, you're right. You couldn't foresee the injuries. That's true. Dragison's injury proved it to you. My goodness, guy chasing a ball out of play and he just stopped his foot and his knee is twisted. Like where would you see that? But you look at him and you're saying, if we had that left centre back that we asked for in the summer, we thought we were getting in the summer, would we be talking like this now?
Sorry, let me just sort of respond to this. I know you're passionate about Liverpool and spending and all that sort of thing, and transfer targets and all. We can't target everybody. We cannot target everybody because not everybody fits our style. That's the honest truth. When the coaches make their list of people that they're looking for Lange and all those people, you probably don't have a clue who are on those lists. It's the ITKs and all those people who come out and say, "Oh yeah, we're going after this person, we're going after that person," and for all you know, Odeberg came out of nowhere. Nobody knew we were going after him. Nobody knew we were going after Kinski. But all of a sudden, we don't go after players. We're not looking for players. But the truth I'm saying is that look, Dave is saying that the money made that isn't finding ways to the football. And that's not true. That is totally not true at all, right? Because if you look at the transfers that with the transfer spend last season and the transfer on the January, the summer transfer window, we actually have the highest spenders, in that window. And it's saying here that look, Spurs are 20th in the wage to income profile. Yes, they are, because why? We are the only ones who just built the stadium. Nobody else has built a stadium in the Premier League in the last how many years, right? So we have a huge debt to service. Look at the time when Arsenal were servicing their debt. Were they buying players? They have the same thing we're going through now. I.e., when Wenger was saying that, look, there's financial doping in the Premier League, and that that people were just spending money the way and he wanted a sustainable model. That was the manager, not even the owner. He was criticized by everybody. Now we're hearing that Ineos, Man U are trying to cut back on transfers, on wages, and all of that sort of thing because they are way exposed. Now that's Man U. Man U is probably one of the second richest club in the world. So they are finding that the only way they can sustain what they're doing is to reduce costs, and part of that reducing costs is reducing wages and transfers. And what we have now is that we don't have to reduce anything, if anything at all. We don't have the capacity to potentially spend more than our rivals because of the system we put into place to ensure that we are sustainable. That's my own thing. Let's look ahead. Come on, we're not going to finish this if we're not careful. Listen, we're playing Brentford. Brentford are like Brighton, if you like, one of the what I call the data clubs, if you like, whereby they sort of have a low budget, but they have plenty of players who almost like, they're like machines. They give their all. But Brentford were in exactly the same position we're in now last year when they had a lot of injuries, right? But because we're not Brentford fans, we don't know all of that, and they were in the same position as in the 15 in the league, right? And people were fearing that they would have they would probably end up relegated, and they finally, I mean, obviously got their players back and they fought their way back. And what's his name was saying that he's been there before, he knows exactly what it's like, and he just wishes him all the best. And you would say that he wasn't doing it in the mind games way that the other managers were doing it. This what's that manager's name again? I keep it Frank.
Thomas Frank.
Yeah, I like him actually. I really like him. It's a really, level-headed coach. And I mean, people say Brentford obviously are very, very good. I don't remember us winning there. I mean, ever, if you like. I think we've always drawn games. All the games we've played there have been drawn. We haven't lost, but we haven't won either. I mean, I think the last 3 times we've been there, we've had draws, right? So I'm hoping that this weekend might be a lot better. What do you reckon?
Well, I think with Spurs, it's always been high and low. So we've had a high of Thursday and the Elfsborg game. Are we going to get a low? Apparently, Brentford haven't won a home game in 3-4 games, so people are already saying Dr. Spurs is in town. And so on a joking front, it's Dr. Spurs in town. I think having Van de Ven back has been a huge boost for. I think it's been a huge boost for the side. Not just in terms of him playing, it's just I think for them it's like, wow, somebody else has come back, and mentally, from a psychological point of view, I think it's going to be an interesting game. We set out as a draw, like you say, we always draw with them. I remember they were our first game last season when Ange first came in, and we played brilliantly. We could have won that game as well. And we ended up coming away with a draw where we completely dominated them on the ball. If the same thing happens, all they're looking is to exploit our line and then try and get a goal. Mbeumo, best player as always is Mbeumo. You're watching Mbeumo and you're looking at Visa as well. You're Visa, who we're linked to in this window. We were told that Spurs were looking at getting him. I wouldn't have minded him as much. I like Mbeumo a lot. I think whichever team finally ends up with Mbeumo, I think he will improve teams. But Spurs, I think going into this game, it's like, everyone's saying that, oh, well, we're not really good enough. I think they may surprise people. But I'm looking at it as a draw. And if possible, if Spurs can eke out a win, because no one expects us to win the game against Brentford. I'm saying no one expects us to beat Brentford. But if we could work out a draw or... Well, David, you just wrote this thing about Nuno, and I'll tell you my bit on Nuno. And if you could go back on the pod, I said the same thing. When Nuno arrived at Spurs, the reason I think Nuno did poorly at Spurs was because Nuno came in from Wolves. He was playing a 5-3-2 or 3-5-2, whichever form of that he was doing. He came to Spurs and Fabio Paratici apparently or allegedly told him, when you come here, play how you played at Valencia, which was the 4-3-3. And he hadn't played that system in 4 or 5 years or something like that. So, and he tried to change who he was to manage Spurs. And when you're not an original, I believe you get shown up. And that's what happened to him. He didn't know how to respond because he didn't know what he was doing at Spurs. I'm sorry, like Nuno at Spurs is not this Nuno at Forest, and it wasn't the Nuno at Wolves. He was trying to be a Spurs manager, when in actuality you can only be yourself. If they'd allowed him be himself, as boring or whatever it is they wanted to call it at the time, I think Nuno would have survived. But Nuno tried to be someone he wasn't, and when the results were against him, the fans turned. So I'm happy for him at Forest, top 4 at this moment. They're hammering Brighton 3-0. Wonderful for him. But the truth in the pudding is 2 seasons in a row. Even if they get a great place this season, wonderful for them. They've had great places before. Let's see the same Nuno with this same Forest next year. Let's see that. It's so easy to say, well, Nuno did well and we wrecked him. We didn't wreck Nuno. Nuno chose the wrong things to do at Spurs, and the results went against him, and the fans weren't happy because he was never first choice in the first place. And it happened. But yeah, I can't go back and start looking back. It's iron dogging to go back and start looking at something that you had before and thinking those times were better. And if Nuno had stayed, I don't think Nuno would have done well with us like he's doing at Forest. He's good at Forest because Forest is the kind of team that Nuno can manage. That's my view.
Well, I guess you probably sort of, well, in a way, nailed it because whenever Spurs or whenever someone who's left Spurs is doing well, everyone goes back and say, yeah, the reason they're doing well is because they left Spurs. That's not necessarily always true, because they're different teams and football is a team game. It's not a one-man game. And Conte is now top of the league with Napoli in Italy. But Napoli won the championship. Spurs have not won anything, and he has won even in Italy before he came here. And he's won here as well. So it's not like he's not used to winning, if you like. So it's Mourinho, obviously, is a serial winner. You know what I'm saying? Okay, it didn't work out for him at Spurs, but the reason it didn't work out for him at Spurs was a different set of circumstances, which don't necessarily translate into what they experience in the clubs that they go to. And we can also point to people who have led Spurs and haven't done well as well, who are still not doing so great. Poch went to PSG, of course he won there, but beyond that, he did also at Chelsea. Chelsea have not money than us. He didn't do that great at Chelsea. Even though I rate Poch, I love Poch, and I would love to have him back, if we could, but I'm not sure that Tottenham will be the right fit for him at this point in time. But I think, in my view, Anjin, let's just ride this storm and hopefully things get better and we end up winning something at the end of this season. It would be great if we can achieve that. What do you reckon?
No, I'm the same. I'm very much Anjin. I don't mind Ange at all. He's my cup of tea. I am Daniel Levy to be replaced as chief executive. Out. That's it. I'm Daniel Levy out. If you think back, have something to agree that if you think back, Harry Redknapp's first 11, I disagree. Which current Spurs 11 are you talking about, David? If you're talking about, are you talking about with Van de Ven, Romero playing at the back, Porro, Udogie, and all these guys? I think they'll beat Harry Redknapp's team. Harry Redknapp plays 4-4-2. His 4-4-2 is weak. That's why we could never beat the top six. Go and check your records. When Harry Redknapp was manager, we played brilliant football, expansive football, all that. But watch our record against the top six. Now that top six, this Spurs team play like that top six, even though they may not even be beating the top six now, but they play like that top six. Redknapp's problem was he was tactically inflexible. He played one way, the same way we talk about Ange playing one way. Harry played one way, 4-4-2. You knew exactly what you were getting when Harry was coming to town. And teams that loaded up their midfield, they had their way with Spurs and him. And those were always the bigger sides. Those were always the Cities and the rest of them. They always outnumbered him in midfield and killed him. He was trying to rely on the same thing, Bale, Lennon on the wings. And if that didn't happen, it wasn't happening for him. He kept saying, if you got 2 or 3 players as well. Nah, Harry Redknapp to me was a tactically inflexible manager. He did well, doing well with Portsmouth and winning an FA Cup. But what else happened with his career outside of Spurs? Beyond that FA Cup with Portsmouth, what did Harry Redknapp do? Because everyone could see Harry coming. Spurs had the best players for Harry Redknapp to play what he played. But that system, because in fact he wasn't tactically on point as much as the other managers around him, he could never win the big ones with Spurs.
All right, so there you go. I'm not sure that, what's the word? Covered we covered the transfer window. We've covered the reports on the Elfsborg match. We've done the transfer, and then we've also done the match preview. Anything else before we go before we round up?
No, just if it's a score prediction, I think it's going to be same thing as we did when we played them last time. I think it's going to be like a 2-2. Spurs Brentford, I think is a 2-2. Yeah.
All right. I want to agree with you, but I want to say Spurs probably end up winning 3-1. But hey, that's me. Eternal optimist. Now, this is what I don't get about people, right? So this is what's the word? Dave has laid it out in this comment. Virtually every player that's been sold by this club in the last 5 years have gone on to win a trophy, barring Kane and Dyer, right? And they'll probably win another. But that's not true. That is totally not true. You know, if you look back at the number of players who have sold and the number who have won, it's a relatively small number. You know, I mean, who have we sold? We sold,
and these players didn't just play. They went one man against 11 on the pitch. They joined other players that were equal. You joined the club that had better players than the club you left. Why wouldn't you win? That's why Kane not winning last season was a problem. I hate seeing this narrative. Dave, you're my guy, but I hate seeing this narrative because Modric joined Real Madrid, Bale joined Real Madrid. You know, Emerson joined Milan. They're not a beans team. They're not a small team. They have very good players. Rafael Leao, all this. They're better than some of the players, better than players he left at Spurs. Of course, they're going to win. But what about all the rest? Why don't we talk about all the other players that left? You know, why don't you talk of Romain Mondo? Why don't you talk about why don't you talk about all the other ones that don't succeed? If you can bring me a list of players that haven't succeeded and the ones that have succeeded, let's compare it. This narrative will die. I think it will die. It will just die. I agree. I know what you're trying to say, but I don't think it's a factual thing that every player, virtually every player, that's your sentence. Virtually every player. No, that's not real. That's not real. That's not real. You know, Giorgio Kudu.
I mean, Kudu, exactly.
Kudu won something. I think Kudu actually won something. But you're looking at it, they didn't go by themselves. They didn't go to a team like Spurs. They either went, the ones you're thinking about went to teams that were winning things or better teams. You know? So.
In this Kabul. Oh, Gomez.
So, what did Soldado win after he left Spurs? Yeah. What do all these guys win? Nothing. You know, but we don't talk about those guys because they don't fit the narrative. You know, it's
guys.
I'm with him out of Enoch out, Levy out. I'm there. I'm there. I'm camping in there now. If nothing else, for Enoch wants to stay, they should just replace him as chief exec. Get him out because he's bringing bad vibes.
Anyway, I disagree with you on that one, but there you go. I mean, guys, I'd love to hear from you. I know you guys say I'm a Levi guy. Whatever.
You're a Daniel Levy acolyte.
Acolyte. You know, hey, everyone's got to have a view. I think for good reason as well. You know, it's not just for the sake of argument's sake. But I mean, we're all Tottenham fans. We all want the best for the club. We're going through a tough time at this point in time, and it's like I always say, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, not like like an approaching train in the ice.
Like an approaching train on bus.
You know. Anyway, listen, we love you guys. Thank you for watching. It wouldn't be anything without you guys watching. Dave, absolutely fantastic having you.
Thank you so much, Dave.
You know, we love you. Thank you so much. And please leave your comments, subscribe. Share this with other people and like as well. And come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. I'll catch you. I have to run.
All right, take care.